We're joined today by Michele Scott Lynch, the founder of Bouclème, a hair and makeup brand, and we're really delighted to have you with us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Your brand's amazing, and we're going to delve into that a little bit more. And I can't imagine it now when I look at your hair. So obviously you have amazing hair products and it looks beautiful. But after battling with your hair in your earlier years, which we'll explore, and damaging it in the process, which you can't see now, Michele made it her mission to redefine what it meant to be curly and help everyone find the confidence to be who they are. After having two beautiful daughters who I've just discovered are a lot older than I thought they could be. So you're doing something really amazing.
Thanks.
Her mindset changed. Michele wanted to give her girls a love and embrace of their curls rather than feeling that they shouldn't, and use products that would improve their condition. It was here that the idea for the Bouclème Natural Curl Care was born.
So in 2014, you created the range because you couldn't find the kind of quality products rooted in nature and serious about curls. So you did just that. Built your own business. She wanted to redefine what it meant to be curly and help everyone find the confidence to be who they want to be. Michele didn't go to university, but you started your career assisting the editors in book publishing and then moved into the publicity department. She then went on to spend 10 years in music as a marketing manager for various record companies.
How cool.
Gosh, I feel like that's a real throwback of my life. Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
So starting this brand was completely different. And it's obviously something to be really proud of. You know, you've had the brand now for 10 years. Can you share with us when you realised that this was a shake the table moment in a sense of there was a gap in the market?
So I guess it all kind of started when I must have been 30, must have just turned 30. And I had hated my hair throughout my teens and 20s, absolutely hated it. No one knew what to do with it. My mum didn't know, hairdressers didn't know. It was just a nightmare. And so I kind of basically succumbed to like chemical relaxing. And I remember turning 30 and reading the Malcolm X autobiography, which I found really, really interesting. And he has a chapter where he talks about that whole kind of chemical process. And obviously back then it was far harsher, but it's still quite harsh now. And he kind of talked about it in terms of it being a way in which people of colour basically, they did that in order to feel accepted and beautiful within a Western concept of beauty, that kind of smooth, straight, flowing. And it totally resonated with me. I was like, that's exactly what I'm doing. And those are exactly the reasons why I'm doing it. And I don't want to do it anymore. And so literally from that moment, I decided that I wasn't going to do it. But then came the quest of trying to embrace my curls and finding products for my curls. And that was a nightmare. There was nothing in the UK. And I'd say by and large, the beauty industry had kind of ignored curly hair. It wasn't really taken seriously. No one was creating anything. And everything was coming from America and it'd be discontinued. So I started making stuff in my kitchen and like making conditioners and gels and stuff like that. And I remember it was my 10-year wedding anniversary and I was talking to my husband. I was like, maybe I should create my own products. You know, maybe I could do that. And we kind of talked about it for ages. I remember walking along the beach and just having all of these ideas. And yeah, the more we talked about it, I was like, there's just nothing. So if I'm struggling, other people have got to be struggling. So why not?
Did you have your daughters then?
Yes. By that point, I had my two beautiful girls who both have got curly hair, very different to each other and different to me. And my eldest had come back from school, she was primary school, and said to me, I hate my hair. And I was like, oh my God, this is the same story, but like only however many years later. And I don't want her to have that. So that was also part of the reason why I wanted to do that and kind of be the role model for them. And, you know, and she probably only straightened it once. And maybe she might do it more once she leaves home because she won't have my eyes prying. What have you done to your hair?
Encouraging the curls.
So we'll see what happens when she moves out. But yeah, so that was another reason.
What were you making stuff out of? I'm fascinated by this. When you just decided on your kitchen table, where did you get your ideas from?
Well, the internet. Yeah. So it was like 10 years ago. So I would say because there was like nothing really happening for curly people, the internet was a really amazing source of information and people across the globe were like sharing their struggles and their tips. And I started making gels out of flaxseed. So basically you take flaxseeds and you kind of add some filtered water to it, boil it up, and then you get this like really slippery, mucilaginous kind of gel afterwards. And then you can kind of keep that in the fridge. But obviously you need things like preservatives, even though people don't want them, because it does go off.
Yeah.
So I was doing that, and then I was making conditioners with different butters and just experimenting.
God, so having had a career as well in book publishing and then in the music industry and club promotion and things like that, how did you find the contacts that would help you to actually make the product?
Okay, good question. So through my mummy and baby groups I used to go to with the kids, I met this really amazing lady who's now my best friend. She basically went to university with somebody called Chloe who helped Soho House create Cowshed.
Right.
And
That is a good meeting at a baby group.
Yes,
That's a good meeting, isn't it, right?
Yeah.
And so I basically was banging on to her about, I really want to do this. I think it could be really good. And I want to do these 3 products. And she was like, oh, well, maybe I should introduce you to Chloe and you can have a conversation with her. And Chloe was really helpful because she basically consults and helps other brands set up. And so she was really like a lifeline for me. She taught me so much, even to like ridiculous things like boxes for your products. Like you don't think about stuff like that when you're making your stuff and you've got this kind of idea.
How are you going to ship it and move it?
Yeah, logistics, all of that. So she was really, really helpful, helping me understand costs and everything. And Chloe's got her own brand, bath and body care range, so called Bramley, and she basically creates her own. Do you? Yeah. She's great as well. So she basically helped me and introduced me to Richard, who makes up my products, and he has since concept from 12 years ago when I first went to him 12 years ago with the idea, and he still makes my products now, and he's an amazing man that I adore. And he is down in Somerset.
So it's British made.
Yeah,
that's brilliant.
And Richard's speciality is he's a specialist perfumer, so he uses natural essential oils to create perfumes, and going into his room it's like
it smells amazing.
It's just magic. It's my happy place. Like really it is my happy place.
I mean, it's just an amazing story. How did you scale it? So where did you first sell it? How did it start?
Well, because at the time, no one was really interested. So it wasn't possible to get into retail. Editors weren't really talking about it. The only option I had was to create my own website. So I launched with 3 products, our curl cleanser, curl conditioner, and curl defining gel. Curl defining gel is our best-selling product. And I created a website, and I launched it on there. And I remember doing my own press release, creating my own press release and sending it out. And I did get a small kind of clean beauty retailer called Content Beauty. And they basically were really into all things natural. And they were doing a great British beauty campaign. And she wanted me to be part of that. And it basically kind of opened the door for other retailers. But I'd say, it took us a good few years to kind of get established. And then once we started, then press started to write about us. But it took a while, and it wasn't plain sailing and it wasn't easy. But I feel like because we connected with an audience who was desperate for something, it basically all kind of built by word of mouth and just got bigger and bigger.
So that sounds like a very intense process. How did you sustain yourself as you were beginning to scale the business?
Do you know, I think you just get lost in the journey, and I feel like a lot of my friendships kind of fell by the wayside. Like I was always the person that kind of be, oh, should we get together, let's meet up? And I feel like that kind of all kind of stopped happening. I think friends were a bit like, oh, she just disappeared, because you just get so wrapped up in it. And for me, sustaining myself is something that I've learnt to do probably more recently in the last few years. But I think at the beginning, it was just full on.
Total focus.
Yeah.
And did you have support at home? So because it must have been like tough, because you had 2 kids as well.
Yeah. So honestly, my husband has been so supportive. Like he's been my biggest champion and was like, go for it, do it, which I think if it was the other way around, would I be the same? Would I be, oh God, what if it all goes wrong? But he really, really was so supportive. Never, ever has he questioned. And thankfully, it's all gone exactly how we wanted it to go. But yeah, he's been great. And he did have to adjust in terms of household chores because I was doing pretty much everything before. And there were times where it was kind of like, hold on a minute, I'm working now. And we had to kind of redress the balance a bit.
I'm just thinking from a financial perspective, because lots of people listening to this might think that they've got a great idea as well, but to get it off the ground, how did you go about that from a financial perspective? Did you get funding initially, or did you have to fund it yourself? And how did that challenge you?
I funded it myself. We took 50k out of our house.
Did you?
And
That
so
must have
another
felt
big
nerve-wracking.
Did you find that stressful?
I didn't actually.
It's amazing.
I didn't.
Because
I don't know why. It's blind faith, really.
Yeah.
And like I said, like for my husband to kind of fully support that was pretty amazing. But yeah, I took that money and that basically sustained us. And we've never had investment. We're a self-funded business still. And that has its challenges in terms of managing cash flow. But I did that because I wanted to have complete integrity in the products. And to date, it served us. But I do think, for certain brands, getting from like single figure to double digit millions is you kind of need some kind of investment for that. And particularly if you're looking to grow in certain territories, like if you want to grow in America, you need a lot of money.
The scale is so big, isn't it? Even just from a logistics perspective.
Yeah.
And have you had to learn all, like how many people work for you now? Have you had to learn all of that?
I've had to learn it all, Because initially, probably for the first, 4 or 5 years, it was kind of me and one other person and maybe a couple of consultants. So I've had to learn everything, and that's been great. Like, I know so much now. There's been a lot of things that have gone wrong, but, actually, those are the times that you really, really learn. When everything's going easy breezy, you don't.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How many work for the company now?
So working for the company now, we are, I think there's 8 full-time employees and then we've got a couple of consultants. Yeah.
So that's amazing reach for a relatively small team.
Yeah, we're a really small team. Yeah.
I think that's incredible.
Yeah.
And so you know everyone. Did you hire everyone?
Yes, I hired everyone. I am office admin. I am HR manager. I mean, everything. I do everything. And that can be really overwhelming at times and also can feel a bit lonely because you've got no one really. It's not like you've got a business partner.
Yeah.
So, there's no one really to confide in when things are kind of really going tits up. So
everyone's looking to you.
Yeah.
What do you do to pull yourself back when you feel that overwhelm feeling creeping up?
Sometimes it can be so much that I just think, right, okay, I just need to listen and stop and not do anything. Because actually I find when you keep trying, it's just actually feels frustrating and more of a burden. But actually sometimes you just have to stop, go for a walk in the park and just, maybe meet a friend for coffee. And it just kind of helps get things back in. Yeah, perspective is everything.
How do you sort of manage to balance family commitments as well with this busy work environment?
So that is challenging. I think at the beginning it was easier because my kids were both in primary school and I was working from home. So it was like if I had somebody working with me, we'd be working from my kitchen table. So I could still take the kids to school and bring them home. But then as it got bigger and as they've got older, I feel like I'm a little bit more absent. And it's really hard, that getting that balance right. And so I think what I do try to do is find a moment. Let's go for a coffee. Let's go for lunch. So I can kind of get some one-on-one time with them. But I work from home Mondays and Fridays, so I'm always there when they come home from school. And that's like it's a key moment because when they come in, at that moment, they want to talk. And because they're teenagers, they don't often want to talk. So this is kind of like my best time to kind of get them. It's difficult. And at the moment, I've got one doing A-levels and one doing GCSEs.
It's
and
that ultimate stress,
it is the ultimate stress. But I feel like I just need to be there to feed them. As long as they've got food and they don't have to worry about that, they can get on with everything else.
And washing.
And washing, yes.
How do they feel about you doing what you do? Or do they talk about it? Or are you just mum and that's just what you do?
They don't really talk about it to me, but I think that they maybe do with their friends. Recently, I got invited to number 10 Downing Street for this International Women's Day event, and they were literally blown away. They were like, oh my God, Mum.
Did you get a picture?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
you have to, right? It's obligatory.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, I think they are proud, but they're just not very good at telling me that.
And they have curly hair.
They have curly hair.
And how do they feel about their curly hair?
I think that they feel good about it. They both wear their hair curly. They don't straighten it. They've got some really good products to use at home. And then I am there to teach them. I think they find me a bit annoying because if I'm in the bathroom with them in the morning and I can see one of them kind of like doing this, I'm like, no, you need to just kind of do this. You need to be more like this. And I can see the eye rolling and the kind of...
I mean, that is standard teenage girl to mum, isn't it?
Yeah.
It must be even more annoying because it's like your stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just don't want to know.
No.
But yeah, I think they embrace their curls and they're always like, oh, like if they've got curly friends, can I get some for my friends? So yeah, that's quite nice.
And you've expanded the range, haven't you?
Yeah.
How did you decide what to expand and pick what you wanted to do?
So I think people think of curls as a kind of like niche category, but within that category, there's a huge diversity from like loose waves to really super tight coils. And so each of those different types requires different products. So there are a lot of kind of hair care brands that have millions and millions of products, and it can be really difficult to navigate. So I've tried to kind of keep it really simple and your kind of essentials, but I've tried to create essentials for each of those types. So I think we've got something like 17 products now. We've got a lot of stylers, which are always like really important and work for all of the different hair types. But yeah, so I kind of just try to keep it simple and just looking for people who are looking for their holy grail. Hopefully there's something in the brand for them.
Easy to find. I had a look. Obviously, I'd never need any of your products. Sadly, my best friend had hair exactly like yours.
Okay.
We had that classic thing of if only we had each other's hair. But it's very simple, isn't it? So you use very straightforward language so that you can just pick, presumably, because as you were saying, there was either nothing or it was quite difficult to find. So
yeah, and I think also there's like with everything these days on the internet, there's so much information. And there's lots of influencers who do an amazing job of kind of helping, encouraging people to embrace their curls, but it sometimes can be in complete contradiction to each other. So I feel like just kind of like keeping the message really simple and just like a few simple things that you can change that will make a massive difference is really key.
Now, embracing your curl seems to me a really strong symbol of confidence as well. What makes you feel confident?
Confidence is an interesting thing, isn't it? I feel like I wasn't very confident for a lot of my life, and I've probably become more confident through my 30s and 40s. And I'm 51 now, so yeah, it's
really
you
amazing.
do. I know.
Thank you. So I feel like that's something that's really developed, and I think that I'm most confident when I'm happy, and it's kind of like being happy with who you are, and none of us are perfect. I've got my strengths and my weaknesses, but just accepting yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that I feel most confident when I feel like that. But there are always days where you don't always feel like that. But yeah, also being with people that love and accept me and for who I am also helps you feel confident. So
being in tune with your authentic self. 'Cause
that's exactly
that
it.
relaxing of hair
Yeah.
must be very time consuming as well, and going against the natural way your hair's meant to be.
Yeah. I think that definitely makes a massive difference. I've never straightened my hair since.
Yeah.
And so I just feel more comfortable in my own body, more comfortable in my own skin, and that, I feel more confident.
What about societal expectations around hair? It's such a big kind of subject area, really. Do you think that has changed?
I think it has changed quite a lot from when I was a teen and in my 20s. And I feel like, before it was all about having straight flowing locks, and I think now you see lots more people with curly hair, lots more people embracing their curls. But I remember a lot, one of the things I used to get were people in professional industries where they go in with curly hair and their bosses would be like, you just don't look professional, you need to tie your hair back, you need to do something with that, that's not okay.
That feels shocking now.
Absolutely.
Do you know, it is, but at M&S we signed the Halo Code, which is all about celebrating. You should be able to have your hair as you want it at work.
Exactly.
And it was a really good moment, I guess, for the leadership to understand that actually you're presuming that people should feel okay, but actually sometimes you need to make it really obvious that they should feel okay about something.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it's kind of mind-blowing when you think about that, isn't it? Because your hair doesn't determine how good you are at your job, right? And, So, there's been a lot of that, I think.
What advice would you give to someone who wants to launch their own brand? I mean, I think other than having an amazing husband, it feels like...
Yes. Having a partner that backs you is good. I think that for me at the beginning, the creative process was amazing. It was all really interesting. But, you're going to be fighting fires, managing people. And that is a key part of your job as it gets bigger. So whilst you might have a passion about something, you've got to really think about the fact that, it takes a lot of your time and you need to be able to manage people and fight fires. And often a lot of it is 80% that and the 20% of the creativity. And also I feel like these days people are always, they've got an idea and they want investors, but back yourself.
Yeah.
Back yourself. And, if you do that and you start to grow your business, investors will come, they'll come knocking and they'll be able to help you to get from, X to Y. But yeah, I feel like don't wait for investors to kind of come to you. Try and back yourself and start yourself, because it really shows determination. And it's a risk.
Yeah,
it's
but
a massive
you're taking
risk.
your own risk.
Yeah, you're taking your own risk. And that means that you work doubly hard because it's your money at the end of the day.
What is your longer term plan for the business? Is it to sell and get investment, or is it to keep expanding and keep ownership for as long as possible?
So I feel like currently we still want to expand globally, and we're looking to it'd be great to get the brand to a similar size in some of the territories in Europe that we've talked about. And maybe that could come with investment if we want to look at America. But I guess ultimately, the end goal would be to sell the business, because it is exhausting.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting any younger.
And obviously we're very pleased to sell your products in M&S. What made you think of M&S? I mean, I'm sure it was a two-way thing, but...
I've grown up with M&S. I spend a lot of money in M&S
I know
food.
we've got a very great one in East Oaks that trades very well. I'm sure you're in there a lot.
I'm in there every week. And so, for me, it's just kind of, my mum was also super, super chuffed, because it's M&S. And I think there aren't that many brands that can really last all of that time and stand the test of time. And so for me, I love that about M&S.
Your family must be so proud of you. Do they tell you?
My mum does, she does. She really does. She really does. And I think when I went to number 10 Downing Street the other day, it kind of really, I thought about my nana, who's not with us anymore, and how her and her husband came over from Jamaica and in the 50s and really made a life for themselves here. They worked really, really hard. And I just knew that they would just be so proud. Like, for them, that was a dream. We're coming here to start our lives and we're going to contribute. And then here's your granddaughter at number 10 Downing Street.
That is a moment, isn't it? Who inspires you?
Do you know what? It's really hard to say. I don't know. I feel like I'm not necessarily looking at other role models, but I think all female entrepreneurs are role models. And I'm always looking at my friends and other brands. Like I've got a friend of mine called Jules, who's got a brand called Bloom and Blossom, and she's amazing.
Brand as well.
Yeah.
We sell it.
Yeah, you do actually. Yeah. She's amazing. And I don't look at celebrities or anything like that, because I think it's more relatable when they're like real women working really, really hard. And I think people who've kind of struggled and been through a lot and have come through it and achieved kind of really, for me, that resilience and determination is kind of what I find inspiring.
That's a brilliant place to end. I think.
It is. That's really great.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That was really good. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Hearing about a business literally going from the kitchen table and the seed of an idea to actually create something that's going to be really useful in her life. Like, she knew she was the source of it all.
Totally.
To now being stocked, in M&S and with all these plans expanding overseas. Yeah, it's amazing.
And also, again, it's in this really low-key way. But if you think about that, I'm just going to remortgage my house.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this. When actually you don't have a background in beauty, you just decide to do it. It's very brave. And again, I think that's a commonality with everyone we've spoken to. I sort of feel as I'm talking to them, you're all so much braver than I am.
It's true. That all that drive, that inner sort of belief in an idea and that it is going to succeed. So you wouldn't put your family and your home at that much risk, unless you really had the courage
Committed
of
as
your
well.
convictions with it. Yeah.
Amazing story. And also so personal as well, talking about your daughters and what it means to them. And, you know, it's amazing to have driven a brand that's now so big that actually still has such a personal connection.
Yeah, absolutely. Thoroughly inspired.
Definitely.